Hi there everyone, my name is Lesley Henderson. I'm the founder and owner of the Rare Malt Whisky Company, and I also run a whisky blog called missmalt.com that focuses on doing some whisky reviews. I thought I'd film outside today. It's so lovely here in Scotland. It's, I think, maybe about 18 degrees, which is really scorching for us. But I thought I'd just give you a bit of an update on what's happening in the whisky world this month, because May is probably the biggest month of the year for the whisky world. There's plenty of festivals and different events that go on around Scotland. One of the first festivals has just taken place, which is normally the first weekend in May, is the Speyside Whisky Festival, and it's probably the one that involves the most amount of distilleries, and they run usually for quite a few days, a variety of different events. This year it ran from the 27th of April through to the 1st of May, and there's such a variety of events. I've been twice in the past, and you can do private distillery tours where you're taken round by someone different, like a distillery manager. I did a technical tour at Glenfiddich, and I think it was the distillery manager that took us round, and it's just a different style of tour because it was slower paced. You were able to take notes if you wanted to, ask questions again and things like that. And there's also an event that they seem to do every year, which I haven't made it along to, which is pairing a dram with a bacon roll, which, I mean, that just sounds like an absolute winner, so I need to make it along to that event at some point. But overall, it's a great festival. There's so many distilleries that get involved. Each distillery offers different tours, different tastings. They'll let you try different whiskies and things like that, so it's a great festival. Moving towards the end of May, between the 24th and the 26th of May, is the Campbeltown Malts Festival, celebrating the Campbeltown distilleries. So Campbeltown used to be heavily populated with distilleries, but only 3 remain these days. Springbank probably being the most well known, and then Glengyle and Glen Scotia. Springbank also has their own open day, which they're running on the 25th. They've been doing that since 2009, I believe, but this is the 4th year of running a full sort of festival in Campbeltown. And it's great because they are still classed as a whisky region, and it's nice that they are continuing on with the festival, and people love it, as often what people do is actually go to the Campbeltown Whisky Festival and then they head over to Islay for the Islay Whisky Festival. The Feigeal, the Islay Whisky Festival, is definitely my favourite. I've been going for a few years now, and it's just such an amazing atmosphere on the island. So it's held annually, usually around about the end of May, and because there's so many distilleries in this small area, it just seems to bring the whole island together and everything just comes to life. So this year it starts on Friday 26th of May, and then it goes into June. The 3rd of June is the last day, and what happens is each distillery has their own day, their own open day, where they'll do different things. So a lot of the distilleries just completely open up the grounds. They'll have live music, they might have things like burger stalls. Quite a few will offer seafood as well, because that's typical sort of the island style. It's just really an amazing week. Each distillery also tends to have their own distillery exclusive bottling, and these are highly prized. They're very collectible, they're become quite rare, and a lot of collectors will go to the island and stock up. So one example from the Moore distillery was a 25-year-old claret wine finished bottle, which we heard there was only 200 bottles of, and roughly, I don't know, maybe like 100 or 150 golden tickets were going to be handed out to those people who are at the distillery at 8 AM on Bamore morning. You had to get your ticket, and then you could go back later in the day and purchase it after 10 o'clock. So then me and my boyfriend decided that we'd quite like a bottle each, so we were speaking to some people about when should we possibly go to queue, and it kind of just seemed to get earlier and earlier and earlier until we ended up getting up at 1:30 in the morning, driving to Bamore and pretty much camping out. But the atmosphere was amazing. There was a chap in front of us who he'd been out all night drinking, and he'd got his Lagavulin festival bottle, was just swigging it and passing it around. And what was lovely was that the first people in a queue were a sort of elderly couple, husband and wife, that apparently always they want these really rare Bamores, and they always queue, and they'd been there since about 7 or something. So that's just one example of the sort of atmosphere that you get at the festival on Islay. Another great day is the Bruichladdich Open Day. So they, if you haven't been, they have a sort of large open square in the middle of their grounds, and they generally have live music from, they've had Skipnish in the past I believe, or Skerryvore popular, and it's really loud. It's a great atmosphere, and they've got like a burger bar, they do the Botanist gin, so there's a gin bar, they've got a whiskey tent, and it's just like a great big outdoor festival really. Like it is absolutely amazing, so I'm really looking forward to that. What is very interesting this year is the news about one of the new distilleries on Islay called Ardnahoe, who have tempted Jim McEwan out of retirement. So you may know of Jim McEwan as he is pretty famous in the whisky world. He has been in the whisky industry I think over 50 years, and he was production director at Bruichladdich for quite a while, I think 12 years. He was the one that launched the Port Charlotte range and also the Octomore range, the world's most heavily peated whisky. He's quoted as producing that whisky because he was fed up of people saying that Bruichladdich wasn't a true Islay whisky because it's generally lighter. So he said he created Octomore to shut everybody up forever. I think some of the ppm, the peat parts per million on Octomore, over 200, 220, 230, so unbelievable. Anyway, it was quite big news when Jim McEwan was retiring from Bruichladdich. You know, they had his final bottle releasing, and it was a sort of quite a moment for in the whisky world. However, it then came out the news this year that he's been tempted out of retirement by Ardnahoe, and who I think he's again going to be in charge of production there. And he's also hosting tastings this year for the Fèis Isle Festival, so I think they're about £150 a ticket, but he's hosting it, and he's got an array of fabulous whiskies to try. So I think for people that have followed Jim McEwan or know his history and his story, it's a great chance to meet a real sort of legend in the whisky industry. Speaking of legends, I myself are also hosting whisky tastings for the Islay Festival. So the Rare Malt Whisky Company's sister business is Old School Islay, which is the Old School in Portnahaven. It was left derelict for about 13 years, but it's now been revamped back into a sort of livable condition. So we rent out a self-catering accommodation, but each year for the festival we open it up and host tastings inside. So we are doing 3 nights. So we're doing a few nights on the 30th and 31st of May with rare Islay whiskies paired with cheese. So get in touch if you do wish to come along. So that is the whisky month of May that's happening here in Scotland. It's going to be absolutely brilliant, and I really cannot wait. Well, thanks for watching this little video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Slán